I'm Leon Thomas. You're here for NRG This Week. I'll be talking to NRG President and CEO Mike Weiner right here on NRG This Week. Here we go. Welcome to another episode of NRG This Week. I'm your host, Leon Thomas, here with NRG President and CEO Mike Weiner. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing phenomenal, Leon. How are you?
Everything is groovy here at the Leon Thomas Group. Everything is groovy. Mike, let's jump right in. And I'll give you two pieces of this. I hear a lot of folks that sell a product or a service, and it just seems like they talk too much, or they don't talk enough, or they mention the wrong things. And I hear this term features, benefits. Can you go ahead and clarify that? What's a feature? What's a benefit? And how do you use both to sell?
Great question, Leon. So, features are what your product or service does, benefits are how they help the client. So, it's fine to mention a feature, but when you mention the feature, you want to mention the benefit with it. So, I used to sell copiers, and the feature would be the copier is 55 copies a minute when you're upgrading versus like what they used to have 35. The benefit is better productivity, less time to copier so that you can be more productive with what you're doing. A feature like with insurance is, you're going to have $1 million worth of insurance. Well, what does that mean? The benefit is when you pass, your heirs are going to receive that. So, and some of them you can actually pull money out while you're living. So it's great to mention the feature, but if you don't mention the benefit, the client has no idea why they want to buy from you. So it's very important to mention the feature, but really focus on what is it going to do for the client? Is it going to help them save time? Is it going to help them save money? Is it going to make them more productive? Is it going to, increase their technology so they can compete? Those are the key things, Leon.
hmm Now, Mike, as you know, I spent a lot of time in the hotel business, and one of the things that we used to talk about there, we get into this thing of talking about our hotel, and we would talk about everything about the hotel, but never mention something that was good about it for the guest. So, for example, we would say, "Well, we have breakfast in the morning," and it's like, okay, and why is that important to me? Why do I care to have breakfast? So when you say I have breakfast in the morning, which means to you, you don't have to get up extra early to find a place to eat. You don't have to spend extra money on your breakfast. There's the benefit of it. So, and another situation happened actually this past weekend. I was in Pennsylvania, and I stopped in at a couple of hotels. And as I stopped in, I asked for a tour. One of the folks at the front desk didn't have enough information to give me a tour, and she said, "Well, we're 89 rooms. We were built in 2015." Like, and you just see that so often, Mike, this whole feature and benefit thing. So what's the best way to get around it? How do you work on being able to talk features and benefits? What's the best way to learn how to do that?
Close, take out a sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, put the feature on the left, the benefit on the right, and rehearse it ahead of time. That situation with a hotel that was crazy. They couldn't give you a tour, and if you were a client getting ready to book a hotel, that's actually going to hurt them that they couldn't give the tour. So have your features, know what they are, but more importantly, know what the benefits are and quantify them. I had a NRG member recently I was talking with, and he's got a you would say an expensive solution to go in with technology. But when we dug in a little bit deeper, we did a cost analysis. And you should be able to do that if it's a certain product or technology. Well, by implementing this, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, you can actually save X amount of dollars per month, per year, and over 5 years. So you've got to be able to know what the benefits are, how to get them across to the client. And I would do some role playing with someone close to you, and then do a cost analysis if it warrants, to be able to sell that product. Because when you get to a point where you can cost analyze it, and I did that with fax machines, copiers, I do it all the time with NRG. It's like, well, one deal get you an ROI on your $500 investment with NRG. Does that make sense? And get their buy-in. So kind of a closing question or qualifying question. Get their buy-in on what you're saying on the benefit, because if they look at you puzzled, you've got to do something different.
Hmm. Mike, last week we talked about follow up. And one of the questions that came in was, how often do you follow up with a new client? And give us some guidelines on that in terms of follow up. How often do you do it? How is it a number of weeks and you just stop? Or just give us some tips on the importance of follow up and how often you do it.
It ranges by industry, but the fact of the matter, the studies that have been done where it sometimes takes 7 or 8 times to reach out to the client. One thing I do, like if they've come to an NRG meeting, we now have the ability where they can go to nrg.online and register, which is great. So I normally wait the day. If they haven't done it then, yeah, I'll send them, hey, Joe, it's great having you at the NRG meeting today. Just wanted to see if there's any questions. If you don't, feel free to go ahead and register at nrg.online. That will initiate an email to me, and then I'll know you're aboard. Then I'm going to be doing some three-way text intros. If they don't respond, I usually will reach out to them 2 times in a short period, maybe 2 or 3 days. I'll let it sit for a little bit. I may go back to the person that referred them to me, and sometimes that works out. But I would say, 2 times, maybe by text or phone call. If they're not responding at all, sometimes you just got to let it sit for a week or two and then come back to them. It usually has nothing to do with you. It's usually a business situation or personal, and we need to be respectful that, things happen, and we've got to be respectful of that. But you want to make sure that they know you're here. Statements like, hey, I'm here when you're ready to go. Please let me know if you have any questions. Is there any other way that I can serve you? Ask those law of attraction questions to let the client know you haven't abandoned them, but you're also respectful of their time.
And Mike, also, we talked about CRM, and I think that customer relationship management, all of the programs and software applications that are out there, I think that would be a very important tool when it comes to follow up. We could note it right in the CRM that this person responds via text. They like email. They want a phone call. They want me to send them a letter, again, instead of trying to force our client to communicate in a way that we want them to.
That's so true. Even myself, there's times, you really should respond back if it was email or LinkedIn or Facebook. There's times that I'll text, and then I'll think about it and go, you know what? When they reached out to me initially, it was through Facebook Messenger, it was through LinkedIn. And what's unbelievable, but it's really not, is when you go back to their love language of communication, and we talked about that last week with LinkedIn, for instance, all of a sudden they respond. So I think there's certain things on their radar. They're a LinkedIn person, they're a Facebook Messenger, they're an email person, they're a text person. You've got to know what love language of business to communicate with them. And usually the clue is, how did they communicate with you in the beginning?
Mhm. Mike, thanks for another great week of NRG this week. For anyone that's new and wants to learn more about Network Referral Group, how do they do it?
And we've got an amazing NRG Experience, our second one tomorrow night at 8 p.m. You're more than welcome to jump on that. Reach out to me by email, Mike at networkreferralgroup.com. My cell number is 443 756 9656. You can also go through the website and so forth, but we will be putting another NRG Experience orientation together, 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and I'd love to talk with you. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Mike. Folks, you just watched another
You're welcome.
episode of NRG This Week. My name is Leon Thomas. I'm here with NRG President and CEO Mike Weiner. You just watched NRG This Week. Here we go.